In this video, VES Board of Directors member Colin Campbell will be sharing how to navigate the waters of remote work. Now, Colin is a senior compositor as well as a member of the Board of Directors at the Visual Effects Society, or VES, and he's also the chair of the VES's Remote Work Committee. Now, some of Colin's more recent projects that were all done remotely are going to include projects like Fast X, as well as Spider-Man No Way Home and Thor Love and Thunder. This talk was given at the Tech Arts meetups, and if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, do come and join us every third Thursday of the month, and I'll leave a link once again in the description below that you can sign up and find out more about our meetup. If you're new here, my name is Nelson Lim, and I'm a tech artist and a former ILM FX technical director. And currently, I'm also a professor at the University of Texas at Dallas, where I teach animation and games. If you're interested to learn more about the skills it will take to become an effects technical director or a tech artist, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel where there'll be more content on this. You can also join my newsletter at www.nelsonlim.com. Now, without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the presentation and I'll see you around.
Howdy, welcome. Can y'all hear me? I'm sorry. But, yes, this is going to be about working remotely. I don't know if anybody in the room here has any experience doing that, or you're looking forward to, maybe you have? Okay. 3 years. 3 years? Oh, wow, okay. So, yeah, we're not going to have a whole lot of nitty-gritty statistics and all of, how many people are and aren't and that sort of thing. This is going to be more or less just my rambling, some experiences that I've had, hopefully give you all some advice and things like that of your hopefully upcoming careers working remotely and all. My name is Colin Campbell. I am also a member of the Visual Effects Society, and I co-chair the Work From Home Remote Committee. And so we have, one of the things we had to do is like work from home, working remotely, all these words get kind of bandied about, and they get used interchangeably. So we decided one of the things we needed to do was kind of define what's going on so people can actually talk coherently. So we came up with a whole bunch of different definitions and the things that we do. First off, working from home, that is obviously just working from home. But if you would otherwise commute to an office, so even if you're living like down in Grand Prairie and you're working up in Frisco, that would still be considered working from home because you're in the same city, even if you lived right across the street from the company you're working at. Remote, that would be if you're working from city to city, state to state, or country to country. So you would otherwise not commute to where you were going and working from. And then finally we have hybrid, and that's where some days you're working in the office and some days you're working from home. We've also kind of split that up into flexible hybrid and rigid hybrid. Rigid hybrid is where, your supervisor, your boss, and says, you must be in the office 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If they actually pick the days, that would be the most rigid. But if they say, no, you've got to be in 3 days a week. Flexible is whether they kind of pick how many days you come in, or you get to choose how many and which days you get to come in. So what are the benefits of working from home? First off, no commute. You get to save all that gas, all the wear and tear on your vehicle. It's a lot greener because you're not polluting the air driving to and from, getting stuck in traffic, things of that. You get to recapture that time that you would be commuting. And if any of you have ever lived or worked in California, you can understand how much time that can be that you're grabbing. Better quality of life. Part of it goes in with the commuting, that time you recapture. You get to spend it at home. When you log out at 6 o'clock, you're off at 6 o'clock. It's not another hour and a half that you have to go and, 7:30 you're starting dinner. No, you start dinner at 6 o'clock. You can go pick the kids up at sports practice. all those kinds of things like that. Take the dog out for a walk. Lowers the costs for the employers, because the more people that are working from home, that's less office space. That if they haven't bought an office building, that's less office space they have to rent. That's less equipment, furniture, less snacks they have to put into the snack room, for everybody. So it definitely lowers the costs for them. More focused work time. I don't know about you guys, when I'm working in an office, in a cubicle or what have you, there's always chit-chat and chatter, things going on around the room and stuff, and it's just like, I just can't focus and all that. So I'm always have the headphones, I've got Jan Hammer, pounding away in my ears, that sort of thing. Working from home, you don't have all of that chatter and other things taking up your attention, annoying you and all that. You can turn on your own music. You don't have to have headphones on. You've got it coming through your sound system, which is great. Employers will have access to a larger talent pool, which means that they don't have to hire who's available in their area and all. They can hire, maybe the best person who's available, but they live down in Austin and they don't want to come to Dallas or what have you. So they still have access to that person as a part of their talent pool that they can hire. So what are the disadvantages of working from home and working remote? Reduced one-on-one communication and feedback. This is a big one. It's always nice to be able to just walk into your supervisor's office and say, hey, what did you mean? I'm confused on what this is. What did you mean? I've had instances like one of the last shows I work on. I have a really bad ear for international accents and dialects and that sort of thing. I was working on a show I was tapping into Montreal. And now the French Canadians was not so bad, but my visual effects supervisor, he was France French, and I mean, he was worse than Inspector Clouseau. And so I could only pick up like maybe every third or fourth word he was saying. And so just even I've got pretty good speakers, so I'm not, I can't claim that, my laptop speakers were buzzing or anything like that, but I just could not understand what he was saying. And I had to go through my coordinator and ask her to please, if you understand what he's saying, give me some detailed notes, or ask him to write down, some bullet points, draw on the screen what you want darker, what you want lighter, and that sort of thing. So I didn't want to, most of the time I was dealing with him was in dailies, so I didn't want to embarrass him, by saying, I can't understand what you're saying, So it was kind of hard for me to find free time to catch him and let him know, without in an embarrassing situation, I can't understand you. So this is definitely, communication and direct feedback is definitely a big drawback. Some people say they don't get a sense of team or company culture. And this is probably a lot more important for people just getting started in their careers, things of that nature. But yeah, you don't bond with fellow coworkers as easy, things like that. You don't get to go out like Friday nights and have beer night after work. There's no company parties, things of that nature. When they throw a wrap party at the end of the show, well, nobody's in the same city, so it makes it kind of hard to do that. So yeah, you do feel like a little bit of a disconnect. It's a little better, once you get later on in your career, a lot of that stuff really doesn't matter. You just want to work, you want to get paid, pay your bills and that sort of thing. But, if you're young, you want to meet people, make contacts, network, that sort of deal. Company culture is definitely a big deal. Potential security leaks. This is probably probably in any industry it's going to be a big deal, but like I work in motion pictures and television and all, the studios are really concerned about story points, images, anything like that that's going to get out, spoil a movie, that sort of thing. Obviously you don't want software code or anything else getting out there and being leaked to competitors and that sort of thing. But studios take a big a big interest in not having images leaked and everything. These images got out. Fortunately, it wasn't somebody from the visual effects side of things that leaked those out, but that was a big deal for Sony and Marvel to surprise everybody with the 3 Spider-Men in Spider-Man No Way Home. And the fact that the bottom image doesn't have visual effects in it, that's how they knew that it wasn't an effects person that leaked it. But they didn't want everybody to know that Daredevil was going to show up in the movie as well. So this happened, somebody who actually was on the production side had her laptop open on her dining room table. Her kid walked by and saw it and was like, oh, wow, that's cool. I got to go tell my buddies. And they think it's like he did an image grab or what have you and emailed it to himself or emailed it to one of his buddies, and the next thing you know, it's all over Twitter and all that. So yeah, security is definitely a drawback. Management can feel like they're losing control. There's a lot of managers who like to feel they're micromanagers or whatever, and they just, whether they walk the room or not, they just like to know you're there, you know, kind of what you're doing. So if they can walk around, find out who's not taking a nap, you know, that sort of thing, they're really happy about that. And you have like the undisciplined employee, and that kind of also falls in with managers wanting to have control. There are people who will always, when they, and I'll touch on this later on, but when you log in for work and things like that, they will have your video camera, you know, set up and all. They will always have the camera shut off, and so you're just looking at a screen of initials, you know. So you don't know if that person is actually at their desk or not. You don't know if they're taking a nap, if they're in the living room watching Netflix, you know, something of that nature. So yeah, having people that, you know, you need to have people who are always on the ball at their desk doing their jobs. Okay, so how does working from home work? Has anybody here heard of PCOIP or Teradici? This is how you would log in and work remotely. Basically what it is there's a firewall that you have to get through for security reasons. Then you log in to your machine at the location, at the effects house or what have you. So you're not really working off of your machine by your desk. You're actually using a machine at a distant location. And that work is coming back to your monitors. It's being brought back in packs of data. So you're not really, it's not like one big extended keyboard cord and mouse cord there. That info is coming back like as video data to your screen, and it records what your mouse and keyboard are doing, and then it sends that back. So it's really cool because it's almost instantaneous feedback, but you're not really working on, you know, that stuff interactively. So there's two aspects to this. There's being an independent contractor and being a project hire. If you're going to be working on TV shows and movies, things like that, you're probably going to be the second, a project hire. If you're working locally and opening up your own shop, then you're definitely going to be an independent contractor. So the things you're going to need is, as an independent contractor, is you have to provide your own hardware and software. So you're not going to have like working for Industrial Light and Magic or whoever. They're not going to be providing your equipment for you. So you want to make sure you've got like the latest, greatest, that it's in working condition and all that, or because you don't want to be spending time trying to fix, you know, your software and your hardware while you're trying to meet a deadline to get work done. You're going to be like your own businessman, or business person, I'm sorry. Responsible for invoicing the client. You're going to be responsible for paying any business taxes, things of that nature. If you're in a state like Texas, you're lucky you're not paying like a state, you know, income tax or business tax, but if you're moved someplace else, you're going to be responsible for that. I am not a business person, so I try not to work this way if I don't have to. You'll need to negotiate payment schedules and that thing. So you'll be working with the client, different deadlines that you have to meet, and how much you're going to charge for that and how much they're going to pay you. Usually it's like you get a third up front, a third halfway through the project, and then a third, the last third when you do the final delivery. So sometimes you're going to run into clients who, that last third, oh, well, they're waiting for their client to pay them, stuff like that. You might not ever see that last third. So it's a good idea. Your first and second third are actually the first and second half of what you want to do for the show. And then if you get the final third, that's just gravy, Like I mentioned, you're going to be responsible for your equipment maintenance and upgrades. So you're going to have to be a little bit of a tech nerd, and be able to do that and all. Work with the client to set the goals, for what the project is going to be, and what the final delivery is going to look like. Because basically it's like you're going off, you've been told to build a set of cabinets, you go off, you go build that set of cabinets, and when you come back, you've got what has already been agreed to. You need to discuss with them how do they want the final project delivered to them. What file formats, what files do they want everything, all of your models, all of your textures, all of your animation, or do they just want the final images and that's all they're interested in? Do you deliver those through Dropbox, OneDrive, or do you give them a physical external hard drive? Who pays for that hard drive? Is that part of what you're billing, the client for? These are all things you kind of have to think about as a business person so you don't end up, eating up all your profits and everything by giving away a free hard drive, things of that nature. Also check with state labor laws concerning independent contractor status. Like I've said, if you're running your own shop, your own company, that's what you are. You're probably going to set up an LLC or an S Corp, something of that nature, give yourself a company name and that sort. There will be production companies you may go work for that ask you to be an independent contractor. Go to the websites, the state labor websites, and find out exactly what an independent contractor is. This is kind of a way that some companies get around having to pay your taxes, your health care, and that sort of thing. In California, it's like if you're on site using their equipment in their building, their resources and all that stuff, you're an employee. You should not be a contractor. In Texas, the last I read, it's a little different. If you are actually being supervised, you're an employee. So if they say, yeah, here, go build the cabinets, and you go build them and bring them back, that's fine. But if they're coming over and saying, oh, can you make the bevels a little softer? Can you make it more red? That's supervising. You should be an employee at that point. So definitely check out what the state labor laws are so that you know exactly, because you could be cheating yourself out of a lot of money if they're trying to get you to pay all your health care and things like that they should be paying you. So when you're working for a company, an effects house or, a commercial house, someone like that, they're not going to, if you get staff, that's great. I mean, there's really no true thing as staff. You can still get fired, just as easily as a project hire. Most likely you will be a project hire and you'll be employed, from the time they hire you until they deliver the show to the studios. Important, I've found out, is having the best, fastest internet that you can get. I've got the AT&T 1 gigabit fiber, and I've never had any problems whatsoever. Like I say, you're going to be transferring this data packet back and forth. You're going to want to be seeing videos streaming real time. You don't want to see it getting broken up or pixelated, things like that. So get the fastest internet speed that you can get. When they set up the router in your residence and all, make sure that your computer is hooked up using the Ethernet port to the router. Don't try and work over Wi-Fi, because you'll just be, asking for problems doing that. Get a reliable computer, one that's not going to be crashing, not a hand-me-down that's a hand-me-down that's a hand-me-down. Get a reliable, this doesn't have to be the biggest, fanciest computer out there and stuff like that, but get a reliable one. Just my personal advice is make it a Windows machine, because when you get hired for a job and you're talking with their tech person, whoever, to get you all set up and connected and stuff, odds are they're going to be a Windows person, So, and a lot of the work is done either on Windows or Linux, so they're going to know that off the top of their heads. Hopefully by now, people have also worked with enough Mac, that because your machine is really just a port to their network, really. So, just getting connected. Hopefully they've dealt with enough people that they know all the ins and outs of working with iOS as well can work. But I would say get a Windows machine. Question? Oh. How does that mean I'm running long? All right, okay. Oh, okay. Quality monitors. 2K minimum if you're working on television or feature film, but 4K would be preferable. Dual monitors if you can afford it and your software supports it. I work mainly in Nuke, which is a compositing software, and I like to have my viewport on one monitor and my node tree on the other. So I'm working in as big an image as I possibly can. That helps especially when you're rotoing images, things of that nature. So also good quality monitors from a good company, LG, Asus, things like that. Something that you can also color calibrate at home that is really going to be calibrated. It's not just saying it is because they want to sell you a monitor. I know monitors can be expensive. Mine are 27-inch 4K monitors. I got matching monitors. You can go to Best Buy and you can find open box or display versions and get a little bit of a discount that way. I found out that there's a Best Buy on LBJ and Midway, but right next door is like Best Buy outlet, and that's where all like the open box stuff, or what we call it, when I worked for Sony, we called it B stock. Someone would buy something, they open it up, I don't like the look of that, they take it back, get their money back, but they can't sell it as brand new anymore because it's open box. Both of my monitors were still professionally wrapped in the packaging and everything. It just looked like somebody had just cut open the box and like, oh, the back side of the monitor was up. It's white. I don't want white. I want black. And they took it back, and so I got like brand new monitors for like 25% off. So go check that Best Buy. That's a good deal. Micro Center also, and for your computers as well. If you're not into building a computer and stuff, Micro Center can spec out a computer for you and make it cost effective as well, it's upgradable. Your proc isn't welded to your motherboard or anything like that, so I'll give them a big plug as well. Secondary computer and laptop, this is key, because for me, I've got my laptop and I've got my monitors up there working, and we'll see a picture in a second, but this is my communication portal to the company. It's not going through the Teradici or the pipeline and stuff. So I can have my Zoom and stuff. I run dailies on my laptop and stuff, and I can still be working on my big monitors. So having a secondary laptop is really beneficial. If the network crashes or you're having problems, you can still have a video chat with the tech guy and get it fixed. And also I highly recommend doing that. If you don't have a secondary computer, then headphones with a microphone and an external camera. So if you are having dailies, you can still do that. My machine doesn't have speakers or anything like that built in, so that's why I use the secondary laptop. Optional would be a Wacom tablet and those external speakers. Some people like to use a tablet and stylus as opposed to a mouse. I'm a mouse person, but I never could just get I do use pen and tablet for paint work and that sort of thing, but as far as just, navigating and that sort of thing, no, I prefer a mouse. You're going to want to download all these communication apps, Zoom, Google Suite, Microsoft Teams. Different companies use different ones. Google Suite is really nice. Teams tries to be Google Suite, but it just, it's like reinventing the wheel, but with like one flat side. They didn't quite get it right. Same thing for your cell phone. Same apps and all, because it may be someone needs to get in touch with you and you're off at the grocery store or whatever in the evening, and they're notifying you that, your job has failed or something like that. It's good to have that kind of contact. Another deal is this Microsoft Authenticator. If anybody has ever dealt with authentication software, you're going to need that. Every company, this is how you get through that firewall to be able to log on to the network. It's just like hoop after hoop after hoop you have to jump through, but they're going to want you to get it. And what that is each one of those is a separate company that I've worked at some time, but those numbers rotate and they change every minute. It's just like a random number generator, and you'll have 1 minute to type in, that number for whatever your, company you're working at, and that'll start the process to get you through the firewall to get onto the network. Your workspace. You want your workspace to be comfortable. You want it to be a place you want to go to work. You're lucky you're not sitting in a cubicle and in a dark room with a bunch of other people sniffling and coughing and things like that. So make your workspace comfortable. Get you a proper height desk. You doesn't have to be one of the motorized ones that goes up and down unless you want to pay for that and all. But get one that's ergonomically works for you. Comfortable chair. Herman Miller Aeron chairs seem to be the gold standard. A lot of people have their fancy game playing chairs and stuff. Those have worked just as fine, but I found my Herman Miller chair for $100 at an estate sale. So watch the estate, and that's a $1,200 chair, so watch the estate sales for that. Ergonomic keyboard, mouse, and the Wacom. Some people like those big arched keyboards that split in half and stuff like that. Some people need trackball on their mouse and stuff like that. So this is all things you'll need to supply for yourself. This is the rule I break. My office space is not clean, but you want it something that's comfortable for you, and kind of maybe also reflects a little bit of your personality or whatever, because like I say, you're going to be spending 8 hours a day there. Okay, well, we'll just go straight into work habits because this is kind of important. Treat work as if you're going into the office. I mean, it's nice to get to stay home and that sort of thing, but you wouldn't go to the office in your bathrobe and your slippers, so, treat it as if this is, it is a real job, so treat it as if you're going into a real job. Set a regular schedule, so if you have to log in and be there at 9 a.m., get up in plenty of time to have coffee, breakfast, take a shower, get dressed. You will feel so much better during the day if you don't just I'm still in my robe and my hair's all messed up and stuff. So, even though you are staying home, treat it like you're going outside. Log in on time because people are going to expect you to be there. Let them know that you're there. Usually, people will jump into the chat room and post silly GIFs, about drinking coffee or trying to keep their eyes open and things like that. So get in. That's one way to help build culture is who can come up with the funniest GIFs and things like that. But yeah, just let people know that you are there and you're at your desk and you're working. If you're in dailies, you're having a video conference or anything like that, turn that camera on. Nobody likes talking to initials or things, or an avatar or what have you. Turn the camera on so they can see you. Be professional. No cussing, swearing, no sexual harassment, comments, things of that nature. Don't leak images, all that kind of stuff. I think we all know what professional means. This is a biggie. If you're a parent or what have you, keep the kids. We've all seen the video of the guy trying to have a business meeting and his little baby was in the little stroller thing, comes walking in the room, and then his wife comes crawling in and tries to pull him out the door. Close your office door if that's going to happen. If you have pets, hopefully they're well behaved, but I can tell you I've had plenty of meetings where I'm trying to get information from someone and somebody's cat jumps up and walks across the keyboard and across the camera, and it's like, I don't want to be talking to your cat's butt, so, keep the cats out. If you have to close the door, do that, you know, but yeah, kind of police your environment. Loose lips sink ships. So don't leak, don't tell secrets, don't spoil anything for people. And work hours are for work. Don't go to the movies, don't go to Target and go shopping unless you have downtime and you let people know that you're gone, you know. So yeah, definitely, you know, like I say, if people know that you're never around and all, you're probably not going to get picked at for the next job.
Hi there, thanks for watching and staying till the end. If you are interested in more talks like this from the Tech Arts Meetup presentations, be sure to check out our playlist, or you can also check out this other video which YouTube seems to think that you'll like. And so I hope you enjoy and stick around, and I will see you around. Take care.